Now what?
Now the branches keep on growing, and we tell the people of the TVA the truth about this place.
And you think people are going to be ready to hear that?
People have lives on the timeline, Mobius.
I know.
They should have the chance to live those lives.
Think about it. Hey, everything you've been doing is wrong, and all your gods are dead. How are people going to take that?
We have to give it a shot.
Hey, Mobius? Loki was just here looking for you.
Loki's here?
Well, he was, and then he disappeared.
I don't understand.
He disappeared right in front of me. He looked like he was in pain.
Maybe Miss Minutes can locate him. You just saw him.
I did.
Miss Minutes?
Hey, panelists, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this is going to be a spoiler-full podcast about Loki Season 2, Episode 1, Ouroboros. I think of Ouroboros when I read it, but it's Ouroboros, which actually is one of the characters' names. So
yeah, OB.
OB. But like I stated, this is a spoiler-full. So if you have not watched it, Loki Season 2, Episode 1, Ouroboros, please stop the episode now that you're listening to. Go back, watch the actual Loki Season 2, Episode 1, and then come back and listen to us. If not, and you want to be spoiled, fine. So be it. Have fun. And we'll talk about stuff you could look for. But with that, we're going to be... this is the first of Season 2, and we're glad that Loki is back. We're happy about that. It's been so long since we got to see the TVA and Loki and Mobius and the rest of the group. So I'm glad that we're back. And with that, we have a synopsis for this episode. Actually, hold on. I put in a wrong synopsis.
That looks right.
No, this the one. All right, I put one in there that was on line that somebody else had done. I'm gonna put in the other one at the very bottom of it. If you could see that, I updated it.
Okay. So do you want me to read both, or you just want to do?
Read the bottom one first. That's the official one from Disney, and then you could read the other one.
Okay. All right. Well, the official synopsis is short and sweet. Loki finds himself lost to time and torn, quite literally, between past, present, and future.
Yeah.
And then the other one, the unofficial, they have evidence that every one of the TVA are variants and that the Timekeeper's story is a lie. As this is happening, Loki reappears in a different timeline where images of He Who Remains and his variants decorate the war room and the TVA in general. I guess you could almost put that for the last episode of season 1 as well, because that happened right there at the end, I guess.
Literally, that's exactly what had happened. So, but the official one, very short, brief, which literally tells you exactly what's happening to Loki.
Yeah. Sums up the episode nicely.
Sums it up. No, we're done. See ya. Good night.
No, but, there's a lot.
There's a lot that happens within this particular episode that we do get to meet the one major character, which is new, which is OB, Ouroboros. So let's talk about Ouroboros a little bit before we get into, we could, go backwards, forwards. We could be like Loki himself and just slip through the timeline and talk about like finer points. But let's talk about Ouroboros or OB, an interesting character.
Yeah, I thought it was cool to for his entrance, especially the way he comes in, and obviously we're gonna have to get that short scene of Mobius coming into opening up the wrong door or the wrong floor and meeting OB sometime in the past 400 years ago and then just hightailing out and leaving. We'll have to get that at some point, but I like that's our introduction to OB is the idea that time does flow in the TVA, even though the agents and the analysts don't realize it because they get their minds wiped so often. And that was never really explained. It was kind of a confusing point to me, but I guess I get it. If their minds are getting wiped, that they don't understand the passage of time, or they thought time didn't pass, or maybe time didn't flow, or maybe it's just passing very slowly for them. I'm not sure what we're supposed to understand, but of course we have Loki breaking that, realizing that he's moving from the past to the future to his present and back and forth.
Yeah, it's a strange form of events. We learn a lot now. We learn about that time does flow in some way within the TVA, so that way it can be manipulated. Loki is going to and from within it. And I think of sometimes I was thinking at first when I first watched the episode that it was an alternate timeline when Casey sees him and then he turns him in. So and then I realized, oh wait, this is like more of a future or present
or past.
Well, when he shows up and they have to lock down Loki.
Right. But that's when, because remember the floor gets cracked.
Yes.
And then when he jumps back to the present, he says, how long has that crack been there? And Casey says, well, I can, ever since I can remember. And that's because his mind was obviously wiped of the events of Loki crashing through the window and making the crack. Obviously his mind has been wiped at some point after those events so that he doesn't remember when the crack occurred. So,
which is funny too, because if you watch the scene itself, when he goes out the window, goes into the mail truck, it falls down and it goes right back in. It gave me vibes of The Fifth Element with Lilu when she fell.
Yeah. When she fell into the cab and but I loved it. And then when the mail truck goes out the window and you hear the crash at the bottom, you see Loki do the Groundhog Day. Oh, she'll be fine. He looks down and goes, she'll be fine.
She'll be fine.
I thought that was really cool. But yeah, it's this jumping around in time. I'm glad. On one hand, I'm glad that we appear to have gotten it solved, because it seems that Loki has been extracted from the time stream. That's what happens there at the end when he, when he comes flying out of the oral loom, the temporal loom, and blasts Mobius and himself back into the room before the blast doors can get closed. That we're not going to have any more of this time slipping, because it would have been cool to kind of see some more of that, but at the same time, it would have been very confusing. So I'm kind of glad we've kind of ended that storyline. But I do kind of look forward to maybe at some point seeing, the Mobius, the quick Mobius scene of him meeting or Obi for the first time, and then just leaving. But Obi remembers it because Obi, and that's another thing that even Obi tries to say that time doesn't flow in the TVA, but when they go into the room there, the temporal oral loom, right? They go into the room. He says, I come up here every couple hundred years and run diagnostics.
Yes.
So obviously he knows of some sort of passage of time, because also he's the one that when Mobius says, oh yeah, it was 3 or 4, and he says 400 years ago, he is obviously, OB knows about the passage of time. So there's something about this character that he doesn't have he's not getting the same treatment as the other TVA agents are, that he's not getting his mind wiped as often. And that would stand to reason, because you don't want your repair and enhancement guy or advancement guy to have his mind wiped. You want him to be able to remember what he's doing. So that would be, and so it's going to be interesting to see if there's more to this character than what we're getting at first glance.
Yeah, I'm thinking he's a little bit more powerful, like just as powerful as He Who Remains. So the fact that he's been around all this time, he doesn't age. Think about it. He's like over 400 years, and he's the only one
none of them age then, right? Because Mobius hasn't aged in 400 years either.
Yeah, but they could always what they tend to do is grab other variants of them and mind wipe them.
Okay, I guess I could see
so
that.
they could get it from another timeline or something.
Other variants. Okay, yeah. That's true. But like you said, he's almost a constant.
Yes.
Like he's got to be a constant because of what he does. For instance, he talks about the TVA handbook, and he says that he wrote it.
Yep.
He wrote the TVA handbook. So obviously he knows more about what's going on than what we've got to get some more backstory on this guy. We've got to find out some more.
I think he's more powerful than Miss Minutes.
Maybe because he would know more about Miss Minutes than she maybe. I don't know.
He talked about Miss Minutes and how she was running it, and then he has to come every once in a while to do diagnostics.
Right. That's what I'm saying is
Yeah.
so he knows about there's more to this character than what and so I'm excited to see where we're going to go with it. I hope he doesn't end up being a bad guy because I like the sweetness of him and who he is, but at the same time he could end up being a variant of He Who Remains. I don't know.
It's a possibility. We don't know. We'll find out. But I really enjoyed the character. I really liked him. I love Ki Hwai Kwan's delivery, everything that he does within in the episode as the character, and I look forward to seeing more of him.
Yeah.
But I like that he was an integral part of getting Loki back on track. So literally, they cleared up the issue in the very first episode of the issue at hand about Loki slipping through, and I don't think it'll come back right away about the slipping through time.
Yeah, I think we're going to be done with that for a little bit at least. I
it
think
might come back later on, so depending on how the show goes. But I really did enjoy that. Well, we mentioned Casey, who I like. He's a character. It's an interesting character. We've seen him in season 1, but I was telling Steve before we start recording tonight, and Casey, who's played by Eugene Cordero, he's from a TV show called Tacoma FD, and he was in the first 3 seasons. Now he's not in the 4th season, so I'm thinking that he got either more movies or roles, or he's been concentrating on this, and he left the show. But they did replace him. So if that's a cool suggestion for you listeners out there. If you like comedy out there, it's about a fire department in Seattle, Washington, and in Tacoma, but they they had a wackiness about them, and it's guys from Broken Lizard that are in there, and Kevin Heffernan and Steve LeMay or Lemmy is in it, and they are it's hilarious. It's the antics that happen within it, and something I always highly recommend and suggest. Very M for mature now, so there's a lot of cursing going on, especially with season 4 after I just watched it. But we also get another person that we had talked about on this this podcast before as well when we were covering Good Omens season 2. Liz Carr as Judge Gamble. And she was the one that was in the wheelchair in Good Omens season 2.
Yeah, it was good to see some different people, different levels of the TVA. We saw Judge Renslayer, obviously, but we didn't see these other General Dawes and the other judges there, and the old guy that we didn't really get introduced to, who was kind of sleeping and then woke up a couple of times in the war chamber there. So I'm assuming we're going to get more of those characters as the season progresses. We're going to see more of them, and X5, the one who purged Mobius, and D90, of course, the one who went and saw Renslayer in the past. So it's nice seeing these characters come back, B15 and all of them to reset these, but also to see, like you said, some other new characters from behind the TVA come into it, and to see kind of the inner workings of the TVA that we got a little bit of last season, but we're getting a little bit more of it now. And of course, we have that scene, that brief scene of all those soldiers running through the time door, and B15 saying, there's something more to this. This isn't just about Sylvie. This has got to be. And so I'm assuming they're probably going and fighting the variants of He Who Remains. Maybe, I don't know, but we might find out in later episodes.
Yeah, well, like any of the Disney Plus Marvel shows, they're integral to what's going on within the MCU proper as far as the movies are concerned, which I think that has to do with probably from Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and then anything else that's been going on within the MCU or what we're about to see within the MCU.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more limited to Loki. I don't think it's gonna be the broader picture. I think this is gonna be season, but we'll see. You never know.
They'll probably just give like an Easter egg for whatever we need for the particular movies that are out there. Yeah, I love the fact too that you mentioned it, Hunter B15, and I love how her Mobius are working together Whereas
Mhm.
before they were opposing, sides at one point in last season, and now they're working together, trying to explain to everybody that everybody is a variant, all because of what Loki had stated. Kind of how Loki turns around. I also like the friendship between Loki and Mobius too.
I love this. I love that we got back to that a little bit because we were a little worried about that. The end of last season when we saw him, we didn't realize, of course, in that last episode of season 1 that he was in the past, and so he was actually meeting Mobius, or a variant of Mobius before he and Mobius became friends. So I was really glad again that they got back to that buddy kind of chemistry between the two of them because we need that. That's what Loki, that's what drove Loki in that first season, really was that buddy cop back and forth, good guy, bad guy. Is he a bad guy? Are we friends? No, we're not friends. Yes, we are friends, kind of thing that they went back and forth with in season 1 that now has kind of been solidified here in season 2. And so we're going to see that, moving forward, getting bigger and closer, I hope. So not close like Good Omens close, but close. Yeah.
I just like the fact too that Loki, when he gets into that boardroom when they're having the briefing with the judge, he kind of points out to them because there's a painting, and he kind of does something with the time stick to show He Who Remains, all the different various sculpted versions of him, to prove to them hey, this is the person that created this. This is the issue at hand, because they still have a severed robot's head in the back from last season.
Right, because that's the present. So he notices when he goes back in time, he goes into the past, he gets that recorder and he hears Judge Renslayer was part of He Who Remains, part of that war that He Who Remains had spent to back off his he describes it in the last episode of season 1, where he talks about the fact that he had to go and basically defeat a bunch of his variants in order to establish the TVA, to straighten out the timeline, create the sacred timeline, and then create the TVA from that. And we hear that Judge Renslayer has been there from the beginning. Now we don't know what version of that she is, because remember, she left in that last episode and went through a time door and just was gone, and we don't know where she went. So it's going to be interesting to see if we get more of her this season, and if we find out more of that backstory of her relationship between her and He Who Remains, and what part she played in the time war that went on to establish the TVA. And of course it's gone through some sort of variations. See what I did there? It's gone through variations over the years to where he uncovers those, like you said, those sculptures behind the wall.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure more answers will come our way as episodes continue. And more questions. I also like the fact that they do in this particular show that they kind of debunk certain things, like when Loki went back in time and met Ouroboros or Obi, he puts it in his mind that he needs this particular device, and that's what they use with the loom.
Yeah, I love it. It's him and Obi working,
and then Mobius kind of picks it up. He goes, "So you getting that information now because you're just remembering it?" And then, wait, I have it right here.
Yeah, I thought that was great. The no, wait, yes, that was a perfect, like you said, the way Ki Hu Kwan delivers that is great, because we, at first when Mobius says, "Well, do you have a temporal oral displacer or extractor?" and he goes, "No," and then we flash to the past of them building it. And then we flash back to the present where we see Ki Hu Kwan say no again, but then this time he says, "No, wait, yes."
And it's right here, and he picks it up.
yeah, it's really, I love that whole sequence, was the way they went back and forth. I can't reconcile this in my mind, and that he's saying the same lines at different times in his life. But yeah, it was great. And just again, the way he played that was really cool. The fact that the fact that they gave us the transitions of in the future or the present, it's timey-wimey wobbly stuff. In the present, he's got glasses on, But in the past, he doesn't have glasses. So we're able to distinguish quickly which period we're in.
Which OB do we have?
Right, which OB we're looking at. So I thought that was a great subtle way for them to show us without having to show us the difference in the difference of the past and the present and the future kind of thing. I thought it was great. So I'm looking forward to see what more they do.
Yeah, I also like the idea of how he stays stuck in this room, and it's the same all the way, all the time. And it kind of reminds me, if you ever remember the movie Click with Adam Sandler.
Right.
He gets a remote control from, of all things, Bed Bath & Beyond. And of course, it's supposed to be like the devil or somebody that gives him this remote. So that way he's constantly changing time, and he's slipping through and fast forwarding, rewinding, and he's got the DVR functionality. It gave me that kind of vibe with that when it comes to this room, because you got Ouroboros and we don't know this character, and I'm like, oh, okay. It reminds me of that. I forgot who played the main character. Oh, Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
Walken.
Christopher Walken. Yeah, so he's the scientist that creates the remote. Yeah. It's really cool. He's a cool character, and I can't wait to see more of him. I'm really glad that we did get at least a little bit of Sylvia DeMartine. In this, we saw her, and obviously there's going to be more to that story as well, because, and I did get confused both times. I did watch this twice, but I did get confused, and it's something they're going to have to reveal at some point, I'm sure, is who prunes him. Because remember,
I have a theory.
He's got let me finish my thought, and then I want to hear your theory. He's got the thing, and he drops the stick. And so the thing goes green, and then the phone is ringing, and Sylvie is like sticking halfway out the elevator doors trying to ask for his help. And then all of a sudden he gets pruned from behind. And I'm like, did he just prune himself, or did somebody? So what's your theory?
My theory is he a variant of him pruned himself.
Okay.
And I think that variant will come into play with Mobius at that time by the next episode. And we'll get that answer right away. It's like, oh, okay, he's there still, but he was pruned. And then you'll see another variant of Loki at that point. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see more variants of that particular Loki again, because he was with all the time slipping. And something could have happened within those time slips.
Okay. That seems like a valid theory. That makes sense. So I like that. I like that theory. So,
but I
want to know who's calling on the telephone, because it was very Matrix with the phone ringing and him just kind of looking at it.
He's going to answer it, and he's going to go through the Matrix. Did you take the blue pill or the red pill?
Yeah.
But yeah, the episode was great overall. It was interesting. It was a nice way to get back into it. It was only about 42 minutes long without credits. We do get, like you said, I love the fact that we did get see Sylvie again. So we found out, okay, she did get to somewhere else after we last seen her before, after she basically killed He Who Remains. And she's in 1982 at a McDonald's.
In Broxton, Oklahoma, on a branch timeline. Don't ask me where Broxton, Oklahoma is. I didn't look it up. I don't know. So, and I thought that was interesting, because I had to pause it to read that, because it does say 1982 Broxton, Oklahoma, and then it says branch timeline. So that tells us that we're off the sacred timeline now.
Correct.
And into a branch timeline, and we may even have a different Sylvie here. I don't know. She seemed brighter, almost like, the Sylvie that was sticking her arms through the elevator door looked like she's been through a battle. And this Sylvie is very clean and fresh, and she's like, I want one of everything. I want to try everything. Yeah. So
she also looked like she was through the ringer as well, to some degree, like she'd been through like a battle.
That's what I'm saying. When the one that's in the elevator looks like she'd been through a battle, but the one that came out in Oklahoma, she's all clean and fresh, and she didn't look like she'd been in any kind of a battle at all. Not to me. I mean,
She had a lot on her mind too, because
she was definitely thinking about some stuff, but like she had a clean uniform. She wasn't wearing her tiara.
True. Very true. Yeah.
But other than that, it didn't seem like she was that much the worse for wear when she walks into that McDonald's. That was definitely not a McDonald's, but a variant of McDonald's.
Well, yeah, especially because I don't remember how those windows in the back were kind of like roundish out back then in '82. I remember a McDonald's back then was very, very boxy and straight glass,
and more red than orange. Like it looked more orange than, and that tree, whatever that tree was that was on the wall.
Yeah, they had the tree back then too.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, they did. They brought back certain motifs, a lot of like the front counter, how the tables look. Those were right from my understanding or memory. It's just that the windows was like dead. I'm like, okay, now if they start showing a playground or something in the back, yeah, something's up with that.
yeah. So
because that didn't come out until like the mid to late 80s. And, yeah. But it was nice to see her. I love the fact that she makes that kind of joke about no squirrel.
Yeah.
No, something else, and nothing with a face.
And nothing with no squirrel, no rats, no. You're right.
Yeah.
Something else, and nothing with a face. I thought that was interesting.
And then she got really interested, but obviously within that particular timeline, money is a thing. So where does she get the money? So obviously we're gonna find her later on, probably because with the previews we've seen her with the McDonald's uniform on.
Oh, I haven't watched any of the previews, so I didn't see that. But yeah, that's going to be interesting to see her in a McDonald's with the McDonald's having to work her way to pay off her food debt.
Probably, yeah, because that was the 80s back then. They could do that. But there is some sort of cross promotion with McDonald's and with Disney Plus with Loki season 2. So they're gonna come up with some sort of special sauce that is going to be in McDonald's. So look out for that, listeners. If you're out there, check your local McDonald's if you're into eating McDonald's, because I know a lot of people who aren't, but I'm sure just like with Mulan with the Szechuan sauce back in the day, I'm sure Ben Beck will be running out there to try to get all the sauces if it's that good, just the same. But yeah, it was pretty cool to see her. One of the cool things that I did like about the episode is the temporal loom and how he sends Mobius out there with the extractor, and he has him in that suit, and he explains to him that the suit has to hold off because you could age up. And
I love the digital effect of the suit kind of disintegrating as he's walking, and you can just see the suit kind of disintegrating off from him. But they did a really good job with the digital effect there.
Yeah, and the fact that Obi, he goes, "Does this have a crack in it?" And Obi just puts duct tape right on top of it, and he goes, "You're good."
Yeah,
but the fact that they send him out there, particularly not Loki himself, because I guess somebody else has to do it for him.
Loki, because Loki had to be extracted from the timeline. Yeah, and he time slipped out of there before they had. They wouldn't have been able to send Loki.
And he was ready to prune himself at one point too with the time stick.
No, not now. Yes, but not right now. It was great. You've got about an hour. You've got about 5 minutes. So
yeah, right. And I like the effects on that and how he was out there. The big huge, the big huge duct that was in the back of Mobius. At that time walking out there, but that old scene just basically reminded me of in Infinity War when Thor goes to Eitri and they make Stormbreaker, and how Thor was out there and he had to open up the iris of the eye and everything so that way they can make Stormbreaker. It gave me the same feels and the same look of that. Or maybe something out of a Fantastic Four comic too, when you see them going through with the cosmic rays and stuff. But
it was great to once again see that mix of technologies they had, where they had the really big dials and buttons and things that you would think the TVA would be more futuristic, but it's got these, and then it puts them, like you said, in this suit that's got this tube coming out the back of it, and it looks like an old style, kind of astronaut suit kind of things. Yeah, I love what they've done with that in both seasons of this kind of mix of technologies.
Yeah, they also kind of like the tubes that you see at a bank when you at the drive-through, which has the suction or vacuum tubing to send like information. It's like, oh, this is down, okay, and then he puts, of course, Obi puts the piece of paper after he fixes something, starts smacking it with a hammer, and then he fixes it, sends it back up.
Yeah,
stuff like that. And then on top of that, the elevator too, because the elevators have like specific, physical switches.
Yeah, really cool.
But yeah, that's about it. We kind of covered a lot of what was going on with it. There wasn't anything new. It was the episode really goes quickly too, because
It goes
you're
really
so
quick.
engaged.
We didn't have any missed minutes. We didn't have any missed minutes except for in the Flash in the previously on, because when Mobius starts to ask, oh, I'll ask Miss Minutes, and Loki stops him and goes, well, no, she's part of it. So we didn't get any missed minutes. I did notice when the credits rolled that there were a couple of spots where we had blank lines or blank spaces where other cast members are obviously going to be filled in as they actually do appear in the episode, so which is consistent with what Marvel has been doing. There was one quote that really did stand out to me, and I'm going to get it wrong because I should have wrote it down, but it was when they're talking about trying to tell the TVA, and Mobius says, what, we're going to tell them that their whole lives have been a lie and that the gods are dead. It was really telling to go, man, how do you tell these people that everything they've been doing their entire lives is just a waste?
I think I have it written down right here.
Do you?
Yeah, it says Mobius to Hunter B15 saying, hey, everything you've been doing is wrong and all your gods are dead. How are people going to take that? And that's when he has to tell everyone what is going on from Hunter B15.
Well, yeah. And I thought that was great because we have that idea of Hunter B15 saying we've all been plucked from a timeline somewhere. We all have a life to live out there. And some of us want to go back to that life. Even though we don't remember it, we want to go back to it. So it's going to be interesting to explore that theme throughout the rest of the season.
Well, I just love what Mobius says in the elevator to Loki, because Loki tells him, well, your memory was wiped. He goes, I have no memory of having my memory wiped.
Yeah.
And of course, you got X5 like looking at Mobius because he's a dick, and he was just like, he's looking at the ski magazine saying, he was like commenting of like, oh well, what's this all about? This is really this important information and to have, and then he goes, what's so great about jet skis? It's just another device to go on water or whatever. And then Mobius just goes, jet skis are not much of a product, but more of a brand, like Kleenex. And then he gets cut off halfway through that conversation.
I don't care. Mobius, I don't care. But then why did you ask? So, yeah. Really, really cool.
This is a pretty cool line. This is coming from OB, but Loki asking if the plan doesn't work to OB, and OB replies, well, you heard about if you fall into a black hole and you turn into spaghetti. Loki's like, no. Good. The less you know, the better.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those oblivious things that Loki's like, wait, what?
Yeah. He had some great lines.
Well, we already talked about who pruned Loki and what my thoughts are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the one thing I picked up was that OB is hidden from all the rest of the TVA, regardless of the timeline, memory wipes.
Yeah,
so, he's the only one. We kind of brought that up, but that it's so interesting that how he would have all his memories.
Right. And like we said, he said Mobius was his only visitor that he's had in 400 years. The only other contact he's had is through these tubes coming in of people sending him work to do. And he says, I can't sleep. I can't do anything except work. And so, like I said, there's more to this character than meets the eye, so to speak.
Yeah. That was all about it that I could say. But the end credit scenes in my notes, it's interesting. There were a lot of sticky notes, and you got to zoom in on them. Everybody, remember how last season when I was going through everything and breaking down like certain scenes. Like we got to see like comic book like Easter eggs and stuff like that we enjoyed. Well, in this, I kind of like zoomed in on a few things just to see, but because the end credit scenes show a lot more there. And if you enhance on them, something talks about hexes, which kind of relates me to Scarlet Witch and dreams. So there was mentioning of a hex moment or a hex event. And that would be more or less because we've already had to deal with, like I said, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And that's the last that we heard from Scarlet Witch. And not to say that there could be other variants of that particular, Wanda Maximoff. And that way she could still be the Scarlet Witch. But the TVA could still be monitoring her and her actions to see if they go because of after that last event. And it said something about a beast. And last season, right before, because we saw a lot of the Lokis, the variant Lokis, battling with Alioth. Remember the beast that was like kind of
the watchdog, the guard dog, the
guard
distraction.
Dog. So I saw something printed there too. So I'm curious if that will come up eventually. But I think they're just putting that there for us to look, or maybe just to distract us. You never know. They it could be a ploy.
Yeah.
But that's all I had when it came to that. But other than that,
was there any feedback?
I posted it in Facebook as well as Instagram. We didn't get anything. We got a lot of likes. That's about it. But we didn't get really any feedback. But people get shy, or they just want to hear us. I reached out to somebody actually because we got something from YouTube for the last one, and I brought it up on Gen V, and or even before that. They, a lot of people just like to listen, so that's a good thing. It's always appreciated. Before we leave you and go forth into the TVA, we will talk about feedback and how to get that out there. So obviously, like I already mentioned, we have a Facebook group. So for you to send any feedback, I posted an image of the episode that we're covering, and what we're covering specifically. So for that one, it was Loki season 2, episode 1. So I took an image, put that there, and said, "Hey, leave your comments in the image below." So you can find that on facebook.com/panels to pixels. Go there, follow us, and then just follow the images when I do post. That way you'll be aware of it. Same thing with Instagram. All you have to do is go to @panels to pixels podcast on Instagram. Same image, same thing. Just leave your comments in the image below. And obviously you can email us at panels2pixels1@gmail.com. That's panels 2 is spelled out TO, pixels and the number 1@gmail.com. You could just type out a regular email and send it to us and we'll read it. Or if you want, you could easily just record yourself and then we'll play it on the show. So you could be part of the show at that way, and we'll comment that about that as well. So those are ways for you to get in touch with us. We can be found on YouTube. So all you have to do is search for Panels to Pixels podcast. While you're there, subscribe, ring the bell so you'd be aware of whatever new content is up. Obviously, the podcast audio wise is on there. People like to use that as a way to listen. And give us a thumbs up. You could actually leave comments too on the podcast, which we got when somebody talked about Good Omens season 2, the last episode that we did when we covered 5 and 6. So that was pretty cool. We could be heard on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, or whatever podcast player of choice that you use. Word of mouth is greatly appreciated. So if you could tell a friend, just tell them where you could find us, and just like at those platforms. And if there's a rating or review, please do so. It would be greatly appreciated, especially in Apple Podcasts, because that is the one that everybody seems to look at for anybody for suggestions for podcasts that are out there. But yeah, that was fun talking about finally getting back into Loki and talking about season 2. Well, where can listeners hear you, Steve?
Well, obviously, I can be heard right here on Panels to Pixels, but I send in various voicemails to our friends' podcasts out there, and they play them for us as for people to hear as feedback, and so you can hear me there occasionally. That's about it right now. I'm kind of not. It's life.
It happens, but we have fun with what we're doing here, and like you said, everybody could hear you here if need be, and they could probably hear you on other podcasts too with various feedbacks that you do. You could hear me not only just here on Panels to Pixels podcast, you could hear me on Adrenaline Cinema podcast as well, where we cover action, adventure, fantasy, thriller, suspense films, all that stuff to get your adrenaline going. The last episode that I just released was Escape from New York with our friend Frank Rodriguez. So we got into a long discussion on that one. So it was like almost 2 hours.
Nice.
So you got that to look forward to. I kind of tagged Kurt Russell and John Carpenter on some of the postings on Instagram. So hopefully somebody will respond to it, because I liked the fact that we got John Hamm liking our Instagram post for Good Omens season 2, episode 5 and 6, and we were talking about Fletch, so he was pretty cool about liking that. If it's not him, it's most likely the person that's in charge of his media. But regardless, we got a like, and I like that.
Yeah.
You could also hear me on Fantasy Picks Movie Edition with Rob, Frank, Adam, and sometimes Patrick. And that can be found on the Pirate Core Entertainment Network as well. So just go to piratecoreentertainment.com and you could find links for Adrenaline Cinema podcast, Watched It in the 80s, and Fantasy Picks Movie Edition. So you can check that out there, and you'll have all our social media connections as well, and where to email us. But for now, that was this episode. But next episode, we will be covering probably Gen V, episode 3. And after that, we'll be doing Loki season 2, episode 2 separately. So we're trying to do these separately so that people don't get confused or have to sit through a whole podcast saying, well, I didn't want to hear about Gen V, or I don't want to hear about Loki season 2. You know, that way it differentiates it up.
Yeah.
But I just want to thank everybody for listening. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this was Panels to Pixels podcast. So different panel, different pixel, same podcast. And we'll see you on the next panel. Good night, everybody.
Good night.